Hey guys, welcome back. This is season 2 of the Pretend Painter Show, The Power of Pretending. Today I'm here with Cavett Kids. We're supporting Cavett Kids today. We already did a painting of basically Roswell, New Mexico during a hot air balloon festival. That's our painting today. I've got with me Ashley Simpson. She is the CEO of Cavett Kids, and I've also got Becca Gentry here. She's a past camper and current intern now. Thank you two for being here today with us.
Thanks for having us.
No problem. I'm going to start with you, Ashley. Will you tell me in a nutshell kind of what Cavett Kids is?
Yeah. So the Cavett Kids Foundation is a nonprofit based in Oklahoma City, but serves kids throughout the entire state of Oklahoma who've been diagnosed with a chronic or life-threatening illness. And really at the core of everything that we're doing is for them to have a community to connect with, because having an illness can be really isolating. Learn positive coping skills, and to learn that this isn't who you are, it doesn't need to define you, and you can thrive in life despite any of the challenges that you have. So we really do that through summer camps. That's what we're known for, but we have events and programming that happens all year long.
Is this at a campground, or where does these events happen at?
So it's kind of a mix.
Okay.
We have 4 in the state of Oklahoma that are traditional campsites. So we don't own any of the camps, and that's really not our priority. We love to get to travel and explore and go to other camps. So we do 4 in-state Oklahoma, and then we do 4 out-of-state, and that is not really camping. We have a beautiful beach house that we rent on the beach of Pensacola, Florida. So that is glamping. That is not bunk bed camping. It's very nice.
Yeah.
And then we go as well to Scottsdale, Arizona. And then we do a few different things in New Mexico as well. So
Awesome.
4 in-state, 4 out-of-state.
Awesome. Becca, do you mind kind of telling me about your camp experience? And I want to know about that first day of camp, like what you were expecting.
Yeah, so I was really nervous going into it. I was pretty young also. I hadn't completely come out of my shell as a person yet. I was really nervous, but I knew Ashley was going to be there, and my mom she set me up for success. Knowing that there was children there who were also going through a chronic illness or have had a life-threatening illness made me feel comfort. I grew up going to these camps, and Cavett Kids has shaped me as a person, and it's given me a community and like a second family that I can always count on and have and love.
What cancer you had?
Yeah, I had embryonal rhabdomyosarcoma, which was 3 tumors wrapped around my spine, and it was stage 4, so it was also spread throughout my body, like on my pancreas and in my bones. I was 4 years old when I got diagnosed, and I got treatment for about 1.5 years, and I've been in remission since.
Awesome. How did you know that you had it? Like, what was your symptoms?
I was messing around at Academy like a typical 4-year-old, and I was trying on roller skates, and thank God I did. I busted my butt in the roller skates, and
in the store?
Yes, just goofing around, and I fell back, and then a lump appeared on my spine. And prior to this, I was having terrible back pain, but my parents we all thought it was growing pains because I'm 4. But once I fell on those roller skates and that lump appeared, it just kept growing and kept growing. Over a short amount of time, it was the size of a grapefruit. My parents took me to multiple doctors, and multiple doctors were like, oh, it's a hematoma, like it's a bruise under the skin, like you're going to be fine, it'll go away. And my mom had the mother instinct, and she was like, it's not just a bruise, like my baby's hurting. And then we landed at Oklahoma Children's ER, and they ran all the tests, and that's when they figured out I had the cancer.
You mentioned while we were painting that how important art was during your recovery process. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so being in the hospital off and on for 1.5 years while everyone else is in school and kindergarten playing t-ball, you get really lonely, even though, like, as a 4-year-old, you're young, but you understand you're different. There's nothing else to do. But at the hospital, there was a really good program where there was art therapy, and there's volunteers that would come in and paint with us or do any sort of craft. And like I was saying, when you're there for 28 days at a time getting a chemo cycle, waiting for your counts to come back up, you get very, very bored. So the art is something you could do when you were confined in your hospital room, and I did art all the time.
Ashley, how did Cavett Kids become a thing? Who started it?
Yeah, so our founder, his name is Danny Cavett, and he moved to Oklahoma City to become a chaplain at OU Medical. And he, so they worked children's and adults, just the whole campus. And what he saw through his work was that kids were living longer because there were great advancements already happening in medicine, but they didn't know how to cope with their illness. So it was so common to see kids not dream about growing up, moving out, and having the things that they should dream about doing in their future, right? Mm-hmm. Because they couldn't see beyond that, and there wasn't a lot of hope for a bigger future, right? So you don't want to get your hopes up for something that you think is never going to come true. Mm-hmm. But you started to see that they were living longer and they needed to have hope, and you actually have better health outcomes when you have hope. But Danny was just really inspired and seeing, he didn't want kids to become a victim of their illness. So Danny was like, we have to do something for them. And he was like, let's do a camp. Like, let's get all of them together. And he rallied with the psychology team, the doctors, the nurses, and they did a camp. I believe it was at like Beaver's Bend or something. And he just fundraised for it out of his pocket, telling people and friends what he wanted to do. And they did it. And then the doctor said, well, what do you think? And he was like, it wasn't a success. Mm-hmm.
That's what Danny said?
Yes.
Okay.
And they're like, well, why? And he's like, well, we had fun, but we didn't teach them anything. And so that kind of became his mission to keep going and doing it again. So I actually got my master's in counseling psychology and art therapy, and I'm still a registered art therapist, although I have not done that full time in quite some time. Don't ask me for anything. I'm not up to date with the field, sadly. But I guess it's kind of like rewind, really. My stepdad had a heart condition and was in the hospital often, and I was there, after school visiting, and I just was perfectly comfortable with the hospital. I think most kids would be like, it smells weird, I don't like it, or whatever. I was always very entertained by it and was interested in what everyone was doing. Mm-hmm. But I really loved art, and I loved psychology. I was kind of all over the place, and I was like, well, I know I don't want to be an art teacher because I'm most excited about decorating the classroom. So that's not really a calling to be a teacher. So I was going to college, and I was like, oh, yeah, you'll figure it out, right? These are the passions. So I also a Tridel, and one of the alums invited me to go do, they were looking to get the collegiates more involved with the Oklahoma City alumni group. They had a fundraiser where pediatric cancer patients would create artwork, they'd auction it off, and it would support local pediatric cancer charities. And they said, well, you're the only art major. Yeah. Would you come help us? I think it's all about a choice, right? So I was having a really great time as a sophomore in college. Yeah. That's Saturday. That's a great time in life. I was living it up. But there was a choice. Do you want to come help? Someone's asking for help. So it's like, yeah. So spent my Saturday, went and did that.
And which group was this with?
This is through Art with a Heart. So It is hosted by alumni women of Tri Delta here in Oklahoma City. Okay. And it still exists today, going strong. But so I went, and they pair you up with a cancer patient, and you create artwork, right? And one of the alumni was telling me when I walk in the door, this is November, and she said, okay, just don't get too attached because some of these kids aren't going to make it to the event. Well, the event is in February. Mm-hmm. And as a 20-year-old college student, you really don't think about children dying, right? Mm-hmm. That had never been an experience that I'd ever lived through. And so that was a big thing to say to someone. And so casually, really,
Keep a guard up.
Stay guarded, don't get too close. And it's like, oh, okay. Yeah. And so then they pair me. You get a little artist, and they're like, this is Becca, and she's picked out some stuff to paint. And just the cutest little girl. And she wanted to paint this brown background with pink flowers. And she was actually really good, too. She was like 5.
Yeah.
And was really good, too. And I was like, wow. So just doing it. And I guess she could feel my hesitation, something in there. And she just stopped and said, don't be scared to be my friend, because if I died, I would miss you too.
Wow.
And it's like, okay, done, all in. That's a big thing for a child to tell you. And I mean, as soon as I got home, so that alumni that invited me, Casey, she had picked me up, drove me, I think, to make sure I really got there on time, right? Mm-hmm. So as soon as I got back, I got on my computer because they were calling it art therapy. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, I've never heard of this. So I just started Googling it and found the American Art Therapy Association website and shaped everything. Spoke to my counselor, that same alumni I stayed connected with. And I called her and I was like, I'm looking for an internship. I loved OU Children's, but it's so big, like I can't just pick up the phone and call, right? And she was like, well, have you ever heard of Cabot Kids? And I said, no. And she said, they serve everyone, not just pediatric cancer. And she said, you need to check them out. So I did, and I was like, yeah, I'm really interested in that. And she gave me the number, and so I called, asked for an internship. She did not tell me it was the director's personal cell phone number, and I blew that thing up. But I got the internship. And that's really what started my career with Cabot Kids. So I moved back April 2012 to become an intern with the Cabot Kids Foundation. Mm-hmm. And I did the summer camps. I worked in the hospital, and my job was to make arts and crafts with the kids and then invite them to camp. And also at that time, I had found out that none of those ladies, because I also needed to be supervised for my license, none of those women were registered art therapists. Ends up they just saw the power of artwork and just called it art therapy, not knowing that this was actually a professional field of study that I shaped my whole career on, and thought that they were going to be able to supervise me for my license. And one of them was like, oh no, like I have a marketing degree. So I was like, oh, okay. So that was funny, a little wrench in the plan there. But I was later hired on that fall, and I became a director of diversionary play. And so they really wanted me focusing in the hospital, but on the clinic side, just working with our partners and doing arts and crafts with the kids, getting more volunteers in the door, helping to create a more comfortable space while the kids are waiting to see the doctor. Mm-hmm. Makes the parents more relaxed, and then we could invite them into our programs and share what we were doing. And so that was really my main job up until 2018 when I became director. But it's kind of crazy, all these little things in life, how they just point you there. I never thought that this is what I would be doing with someone with a mental health degree, but here I am.
It's amazing where life will take us. Was there a success story or something you've seen over time that is like, this is Cabot Kids, this is what it's all about?
Yeah, I mean, there's several for me, honestly. So I can think of one camper. He's a young adult now. 2 summers ago, I actually got to go to his wedding and be a part of that, and he continues to come back and serve at camp. But he really, when he joined Cabot Kids as a younger child, he was very much more in a victim mindset. Like you would be, right? If you were in a wheelchair and had all these things going on. And, I think it would be natural to feel that way. And he grew over the years through the lessons, and just how much he absorbed, and didn't just think about it for that 30 minutes, but how he used it as a part of life and to leverage and inspire others. He became this boy, and it's like, here you are, you're in a wheelchair, he's paralyzed from the waist down, and he's on a wrestling team and kicking butt, right? But it's like, well, he's got good arms because that's what he has to use, right? And just how he inspired other people with how he would talk and share his story. And he still does it at work and shares with people about, there's a million things that he could complain and say, well, I don't have this and everyone else has this. And, but he doesn't. He embraces it a part of his life. And this is the cards he's been given. But look at all the positive in life that there is out there. And I think, what a beautiful thing.
Absolutely.
But I think one of the coolest stories would probably be Becca and I, obviously. Becca, she was working with us one summer, and I just always had felt like a special connection with her. And there's kids that you just really get close to that share about their story with you, and, you get to see every summer and you really connect with. And we had just got done with a long camp session, and we were unpacking the trailer, we're standing out there, and her mom comes to pick her up, and she says something like, oh, like, I just can't believe all these years and you guys are together or something. And it's like, I've just got to find those photos.
And we were both like, what is she talking about?
Talking about? Like, just like, yeah, like.
Okay.
I don't know. I just thought she was doing some crazy talk and she was confused or something, right? Because I'm like, okay. Like, I don't know, maybe it's her as a teenage camper or something. I don't know. I didn't really know what she meant. And then her mom did go and dig up these photos. And Rebecca, with me serving, was 5-year-old Becca from the hospital when I made the choice to go volunteer that Saturday.
Oh, wow.
And, seeing a little bald girl who's 5 versus a young woman who's graduated high school and going into college serving, that's a big difference in time. And I never put it together that Rebecca was Becca, who'd inspired my whole journey. And I think you had even won the scholarship that year. And we were just kind of talking one day, and she was telling me and thanking me for, being a part of her life. And I was like, and then I told her what she'd said to me. And I was like, that changed my whole career. And, like, that's why I'm here today.
Will you repeat what she said just in case we miss it through editing?
She had a 5-year-old girl just looked straight at me and said, don't be scared to be my friend, because if I died, I'd miss you too. And, I mean, what a heavy, big thing to say as a little kid. You have no idea.
What other kid has the concept of knowing you're so sick, like, in death? And it's just crazy to think that at 5 years old I said that.
Yeah.
But.
And I just think, and everything happens for a reason, and I think choices are so important. Like, even the most minor choices, right? Do you want to stay in Stillwater and have fun like you do every weekend? Or do you want to go help in Oklahoma City and do some service this afternoon? And, that one choice was a series of choices that changed my life. And I think the real blessing in it was getting to know that this was Becca who inspired me. And because that was always such a big, important thing. And just to get to see that where she is, and that actually we were together for several more years and we didn't know it.
Yeah.
So, because as a camper, I never knew that she was Becca. Like, there's a ton of Beccas with cancer, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I don't think that's anything unique. So I never thought about it. But I just thought, I think that it shows you so much that every choice you make matters, and that God has a purpose for you and a plan for you. And look at that full circle moment, and then now the beginning of your career and what that could be for other future little Beccas.
And describe what you do for a living.
I am RN at the Children's Hospital where I got my treatment, and I work in the pediatric hematology oncology unit, so it's definitely full circle for me.
Okay. Do you share your story with your patients, or do you?
At times, like if it happens to be a good leeway to mention it, I'm more than happy to share with them, because I think there's been some scenarios where it gives them hope, and there's been scenarios where they're like, wow, like, and especially the parents too, they're just like, wow, like you went through this and look at you now.
How much does the camp cost for a camper?
Yeah, it costs about $1,100 to send a child to camp, but they pay
Zero.
$0 to attend. And even, we're really trying to focus on the statewide reach. So we've done a great job growing in the Oklahoma City metro area. There's obviously still more to do, but we want every Oklahoma child to know that there's a place that they can go and there's other kids like them who get it, and they don't have to be the kid with a scar or whatever, but they can just be a kid and someone understands, and you can build relationships in that. So that really statewide look is what we're trying to achieve.
What's your biggest struggle that like Cabot Kids always has a deficit in this, that they need something? What is that?
People would assume it's money.
Yeah.
Everyone needs more money to operate. But our biggest need is actually male volunteers. So as we're growing across the state, we're going to be saying yes and welcoming so many more campers. So specifically Camp Cabot, for instance. We had 167 campers last year, 98 volunteers. Well, we can sleep over 600 at that facility. So that's what we want to do, is get all the kids that we can there. And to say yes to more male campers, we have to have more male volunteers. So ages 18 and up that are looking to serve 5 days of fun with us.
Is that the commitment of 5 days? Okay.
So Camp Cabot is 5 days. We purposely do Wednesday through Sunday because if you're a typical Monday through Friday worker, you only have to take 3 days off of work, right?
Okay.
So we try to do some intentional things behind that, but it's 5 days, and I tell people it is so much fun. So you don't have to be a medical professional. We have plenty of them there serving. And really, it's about being with your kids, knowing them, and having fun. So being the set of eyes. So if your kids are like, let's go, horseback riding, let's go ride go-karts, let's go fishing, you literally go with them.
Yeah.
So being with them, knowing when you need to take them to the med station for their meds, but it's just about being with them and spending that time, keeping them safe, and just making sure that they're having the best time and can get around camp safely.
Is there any one thing that kids like that they do that they never thought they would do at camp?
Yeah. So we've had several stories like that. We just don't want anything to hold anyone back. So we have a little girl, currently a camper. Her first Camp Cabot was this summer, and she was supposed to pass away 2 years ago. And so she's very frail. She's in a wheelchair, and you wouldn't think that you could get her down to the dock and get her on a boat for a boat ride, right?
Yeah.
But with the power of Cabot Kids and some very persistent people and some beautiful medical team, we got her down there safely. We got her on the boat, and she just enjoyed that boat ride so much.
Yeah.
Because that's not an activity she would get to do.
I think Cabot Kids is a huge blessing to all of us children in Oklahoma who've had who do have chronic illnesses or have had something life-threatening happen. I am so fortunate to have grown up and gotten the opportunity to go to Cabot Kids, to be an intern after I graduated high school, and just still be involved as, I guess I'm an adult now. So Cabot Kids means a lot to me, and it's a community, it's a family, and I've built so many friendships that'll last a lifetime.
Thank you for being here. As always, only love. Love you guys. Bye.